Stugatz here for 1-800-Flowers. With all the exciting hype surrounding Valentine's, you probably have some decent gift ideas swirling around, but you're waiting for the perfect one. Well, 1-800-Flowers.com is your answer, because right now, when you order early, you can get 12 multicolored roses for only $19.99, or double it to 24 multicolored roses for just $10 more. This is an unbelievable offer from 1-800-Flowers. This gorgeous bouquet of multicolored roses is a perfect surprise she's guaranteed to love. And remember, 1-800-Flowers is here for all your upcoming Valentine's needs. A dozen multicolored roses for just $19.99, or an upgrade to 24 multicolored roses for just $10 more is an amazing offer. When it comes to life's meaningful moments, choose 1-800-Flowers.com to order a dozen multicolored roses for just $19.99, or upgrade to 24 multicolored roses for only $10 more. It's simple. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click the radio icon, enter code Dan. Again, go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click the radio icon, enter code Dan. That's 1-800-Flowers.com, code Dan.
This is the best of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz podcast.
Stugatz was eating up the sports news seconds ago. Brady ends his relationship with a Boston radio station as we kick off Monday Sports Radio Super Bowl week.
He didn't end his relationship yet. He is contemplating never appearing on the station today.
Threatening to.
Yeah.
I don't know why Tom Brady would do any radio interviews ever again in his life. Like, what? I mean, your wife makes more than you, dude. You really need whatever it is they're paying you for that.
I mean, clearly he's been doing it for a while, and he continues to do it. But clearly he enjoys doing it.
Whoa. Clearly he enjoys doing it. What clearly about Tom Brady being interviewed do you see him enjoying? And ever?
Well, I mean, the fact that he can come on there and say nothing, which he's done for the last several years, and people still love that Tom Brady's on that radio station, and he loves that he can go on there, get paid, say whatever he wants to say, promote whatever he wants to promote. I guess he has other avenues to do that if he wants to, and he gets paid for it. He doesn't have to say much. I mean, it's kind of cushy.
No, it is very easy money. Tom Brady can make very easy money in a lot of different ways. Tom Brady, for the record, is upset with this. Is it WEEI? It's always WEEI, right?
It's WEEI. He does the morning show there, I guess, off his Facebook thing that he has released here, and he doesn't want it to be a distraction during Super Bowl week. One of the hosts, not the morning guys, but one of the hosts on WEEI took issue, said something about his daughter. And Tom took issue with that and cut his interview appearance short this morning after only 2 minutes.
His daughter was in this new documentary. I think it's Deepak Chopra's son is doing the documentary Tom and Time, where they're studying his alternative medicines, his alternative way of living that has allowed him to age better than the rest of us. And his daughter was in the documentary, and did the host call her a pissant?
Yes.
Yeah. Alex Reimer is the guy's name, and he contributes to the Kirk and Callahan show. He's a young guy. He's in his early to mid-20s, and he said this. I'm unclear if he said this during their show or if he said this on WEEI, but he is a part of the Kirk and Callahan show, and Kirk and Callahan had to address it today with Tom.
Well, he's suspended this week, and now they're talking about maybe firing this host who said that. So.
Okay, well, this is interesting for a lot of different reasons then, not the least of which is Brady using his power in a way that has threatened a radio station, and really using his power in general in a way that appears to have also threatened Bill Belichick. Yes. Brady is on a rampage now, realizing very late in life, wait a minute, I got a lot of power.
Feel free to use it for important stuff.
I know,
Tom.
but he's realizing I've got a lot of power, and this, I'm not even kidding when I tell you about Tom Brady in public moments, because he has spent 20 years trying very hard not to ever give us anything that resembles anything other than robotics. This might be the most human thing Tom Brady, and most interesting thing Tom Brady has ever done publicly. And I'm including it with winning Super Bowls. Choosing to defend publicly his daughter from something said on a host in a way that he knew would make news the week of the Super Bowl. Because the moment you hang up that phone, Tom Brady is so careful. Like, that's Tom Brady throwing a grenade right into the storm. He never does that. He never does that. He won't answer questions about a Trump hat in his locker.
Right. Well, you're coming after his family, man, and his daughter.
I know. That's. I mean, it's proof he's not a robot. That is a dad that is bothered that a radio host would treat say anything bad about his daughter, keep my daughter out of this, and comes on the host and just nukes the interview.
It's interesting because we have audio, because he came to this sort of decision to reevaluate his relationship with this morning show on the air. This was something that happened on the air. I don't know when he found out about this comment. I'd be curious to know if he found out about it beforehand and he went in with the intention of addressing it on that radio show and making that station uncomfortable.
Did you just say suspended then fired? The host has been fired?
No, he's suspended definitely for this week, and they are now contemplating, I guess, whether or not to fire him. A lot of people would like him to be fired, obviously.
That's funny.
Yes, a lot of fans of that station would
course.
like him. And, and then Tom's threatening, listen, I may never appear on your radio station, and you know WEEI is making a fortune off that show.
Right.
So they want him back. So now this is interesting.
And that's one of the
because
many
Tom Brady should not be able to dictate whether or not this guy gets fired.
Yes, he should be able to.
All right.
Yes, he should be able to.
Well, I hope WEEI shows some backbone and stands strong here, man.
In Tom Brady's mind, he should be able to. Stugotz.
Right.
Be clear on this. This is not me saying it. And it's not, of course, I want journalism protected against the powers of Tom Brady. What I'm saying, in Tom Brady's mind, he absolutely knows, I will end you. I will end you.
Yes, he does.
Well, at the beginning of the sound clip, he says, Stacey told me, and I'm piecing things together. Stacey James, New England Patriots media relations coordinator, gave Tom the heads up that this was happening. I don't know if it happened right before the interview.
Well, let's hear it. Let's hear it here, courtesy of WEEI.
Stacey had told me that someone had made a comment about my daughter or something like that.
Yeah. Tom, we were just talking about it was Alex Reamer, and Jerry and I talked about it Friday. It was a stupid thing to say. We destroyed him for saying it. You can say whatever you'd like. Go ahead.
Well, I think that I've tried to come on this show for many years and showed you guys a lot of respect. I've always tried to come on and, do a good job for you guys. So, it's very disappointing when you hear that, certainly with my daughter or any child, they certainly don't deserve that. So,
no, Tom, no question. As I said, Jerry and I talked about it on Friday. Stupid thing to say. He was suspended for it. He should be. There are certain things I think you understand. As a professional athlete, you're going to be criticized for what you do or on or off the field as an individual. But for a kid to be criticized is unbelievably stupid. There's no defense for it.
Yeah. So I'll obviously evaluate whether I want to come on this show again. So I really don't have much to say this morning.
That's fine. I understand. That's totally fine.
I will, maybe I'll speak with you guys some other time.
Absolutely fine. We understand. All right, Tom, you too.
That's a hurt dad, dude. Like, you could hear it in his voice. He's just a hurt dad. Like, he's not comfortable with any of that stuff. He doesn't want to be out there doing public things that create waves the week of the Super Bowl. Like, he's been a robot for 20 years avoiding that controversy deftly. And the hurt dad just in the middle of it is like, I'm leaving. He knows that that's going to be the news of the day.
But you released this thing right around the Super Bowl, and people are going to react, especially in that market, to the thing that you release. So you don't want distractions, but, I mean, you kind of created it by releasing it.
The part that I'm fascinated about.
Don't do that.
What do you mean don't do that?
Don't put this on Tom Brady.
I'm not putting it on Tom. First off, Tom Brady has every right to be upset. He should be upset. I'm questioning whether or not this guy should be fired or even suspended for just simply commenting on something that Tom Brady put out there for everyone to see.
Stugotz, this is you representing the Stugotz self-interest if I want to say whatever it is that I want to say without Tom Brady coming in and firing me. And, of course, you'd want that power.
Tom Brady could fire me, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, well, this is what I find most interesting about this story. I don't care about the particulars. What I care about is the idea that Tom Brady at bleeping 40 is figuring out in front of all of us the power that he has. He just used it on his coach in a way that got Garoppolo traded, if you believe in the reports.
Yeah.
We think. And now he's using it on these radio hosts who are profusely apologizing at his knee. We're sorry that we hurt your daughter so wrong. That punk deserves to be suspended. And he's like, nah, I don't feel like talking this week. And he turned a shoulder like his supermodel wife and walked off.
How much power that voice has, man. Use it.
It would be. I wish that Tom Brady had been this his entire career instead of subservient to Belichick at every turn, because then you would have seen some of the crud that LeBron James creates every time he goes someplace. We lost out on all of that, and Tom's just now figured out this late in life that it might be fun. Wait a minute. I could do a documentary with Deepak Chopra's kid. I could do a documentary and I could just put out there my message of healing, and I don't need to do it anymore with the radio guys that I've been doing radio interviews for 15 years. Right. I could just do it on my own.
Yeah, he could literally turn on any social media thing that he has and he could deliver his own message every week without anyone asking questions.
It appears that he is just now realizing that he has that power or just now is willing to use it. One, when threatened in late age mortality of his career by his coach with the younger quarterback in tow, or with radio hosts that are attacking his kid, and he's just an angry dad. Like, what is the most interesting thing Tom Brady has ever done in public? Is that it? Did we just hear it? Because that position purposely disguises its personalities so as to never cause a team distraction. More than any in sports, the quarterback personality is hidden. The real personality is hidden from you more than anyone else who plays in sports. That guy is hiding all the time. Is this the most interesting thing Tom Brady has ever done, being a hurt dad in public?
Yes.
What else would qualify? Cheating? Like the cheating scandals? The way he handled Goodell? The way he handled Goodell would qualify. But he just doesn't have any of these on his resume, and I just think it's really cool that Super Bowl week starts with Tom Brady just being a hurt dad.
Hi, this is Papi. Do you know that my TV show Highly Questionable is not only on ESPN2 every day at 4:30 Eastern, it is also available as a podcast. You can listen or subscribe to the Highly Questionable podcast on ESPN app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Don Le Batard.
Stugatz lies so much, and he doesn't take inventory of his lies, that even when he's telling the truth, we don't believe him on anything. What's wrong, Stugatz? What are you objecting to?
I mean, listen, I've done this to myself, so I'm frustrated at myself. I'm not going to lash out elsewhere because I understand why everyone would think that I was the one who did this. But I am sitting here telling you guys that I did not do it.
Stugatz.
You absolutely took a bite out of a piece of pizza and put it back with the rest of the pizza.
It was me.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio.
All right. Magic Johnson has said some things. There have been things said by Magic Johnson.
People who don't normally say anything are saying things today.
Magic Johnson, a fundamentally useless Twitter follow. Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Is Magic Johnson a fundamentally useless Twitter follow?
There's only one worse than Magic, and it's Pau Gasol.
Pau Gasol is very bad as well.
It's really bad.
But he said something. We'll get to that in a second. I also want to get into Stugatz's longtime beef with MC Hammer in a second as well. But Amin's got another theory on this Tom Brady thing. Amin El-Hassan, who likes to do a private show for me here on text while we're doing our show.
Right.
He is arguing with me. That is not proof that Brady isn't a robot. It's proof that Brady has a wife. Tom, baby, I'll talk about it next week after the big game. Giselle, mother bleeper, you will say that bleep today on that show, and then you'll hang up. No matter how apologetic those hosts are.
Right.
And now I'm thinking Giselle was behind the whole Garoppolo thing. Honey, I know what it's like to be an aging supermodel. Get him out of here.
Right. I think, you know
Put
what?
on the poll, Guillermo. Did Giselle say, honey, I know what it's like to be an aging supermodel. Get Garoppolo out of here. End quote.
So you're saying that she traded Garoppolo.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's even better. Did Giselle trade Garoppolo?
I would say that normally I'd be willing, and I'm not saying he's wrong to go down this path with Amin, but I will speak as someone who has two daughters, and I wouldn't need my wife to defend. Like, I wouldn't need my wife telling me anything on that. I mean,
that's the Super Bowl story I want to break this week.
Yeah.
Did Giselle order the code red? Is Giselle running the Patriots organization from the bedroom? Put that on the poll as well. Is Giselle running the Patriots organization from her bedroom?
These are a lot of polls, and might I suggest you tread lightly. Tom Brady's very clearly powerful, and only one other talent in this room had his name attached to Tom Brady in nasty headlines last week.
Well, what happened there? Because I've been unplugged from the media, Mike really enjoyed sending me these TMZ. What happened with me and TMZ last week? What happened?
TMZ ran. I saw a tweet from TMZ that was Dan Le Batard kinda sorta, which for TMZ, this is this sort of couching. I mean, that's flimsy even for TMZ.
Right.
Dan Le Batard kinda sorta accuses Tom Brady of steroid use.
I did not do that. I did not do that.
Kinda sorta.
No, just kinda sorta. According to TMZ.
You kind of sort of asked the question.
Did not kind of sort of, according to TMZ, do whatever you want with that. If TMZ reports something as kind of sort of, you be discerning about that.
Right. So is this kind of sort of Giselle is running the Patriots?
I think she is. I think that's a fact.
Okay.
That's one of Dan's two moves. Move number one is FaceTiming his celebrity friends.
That's right.
And move number two is kind of sort of just asking the question.
Just asking the question.
He's on it.
Provocateur. You guys have unmasked all the secrets. I'm just asking questions. What?
Making you think.
I'm not saying it.
Asking you to open your mind.
I'm not saying it. I'm just asking the question, kind of, sort of.
Just kind of, sort of, according to TMZ. I love the idea of Giselle trading. This is not implausible. I have not heard this theory espoused by anybody, and it is not implausible to think that Giselle wanted Tom to start using his power. She knows how to use her power.
And sometimes I'll kind of sort of ask, and then I'll follow that up with, if you had to make a bet. And sometimes I'll follow that up with, gun to your head.
That's my favorite game.
That's right. Game show. Gun to your head. Tom Brady's doing it legally. The gun's not real, but you have to think it is.
I did gun to your head on Trey Wingo last week, and he was mortified.
What
man.
you did gun to your head on Trey Wingo?
Gun to your head. Do you think Vlad Guerrero ever took steroids?
Oh, Trey Wingo must have tap danced. Why'd you do that to Vlad Guerrero?
I don't know. I was trying to make a larger point about we're just picking and choosing randomly who gets in and who doesn't get in.
Tom Brady, Dan. Why'd you do it to Tom?
No, because Tom Brady... No, wait. First of all, I didn't do it. I just kind of sort of did it according to TMZ. And furthermore, I was just asking the question. If someone ages like they've never aged before in the history of the position and the history of aging, might there be something there worth sniffing around if you were a journalism outlet bigger and better than kind of sort of
Totally
TMZ?
Fair. I understand. I mean, I was just asking a question to Trey.
If you had to make a bet to win a game show, game show's called Gun to Your Head.
Yeah.
Put this on the poll, Guillermo. If you had to win a bet on a game show called Gun to Your Head, is Tom Brady's suspicious aging the responsibility of perhaps some pharmaceuticals? Kind of, sort of. In parentheses.
Oh, I was going to make kind of, sort of an answer.
Kind of, sort of.
Okay. Yes.
No.
Yes.
Kinda,
Yeah, that's
sorta.
fine. We'll do that. Very good.
Can the second question be the same question about Roger Federer?
No, it cannot. I will not allow it.
Okay.
Time for Dan to reluctantly take part in something Stugatz couldn't be happier doing.
Stugat's trying to get on TMZ now.
I'm so jealous.
He's scanning.
I want to kind of
He's
sort of
like,
sort.
He's Keanu Reeves in The Matrix when the guns are all coming by. He's scanning. Did you see what just happened there? Bunch of old suspicious greats just flew by Stugatz and he grabbed Federer.
The most recent.
How do I grab the one that allows me to get on TMZ with a kind of sort of accusation?
Want to be clear, I'm just asking a question. Open up your mind, trying to make you think.
Dan Le Batard
Is saving the best.
Yes, maybe no.
Stugatz
Is saving the best.
Yes, maybe no.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Get the feeling of being rewarded with gold status at Shell with the Fuel Rewards program. Download the Fuel Rewards app. Join and start saving 5 cents a gallon today. Here's your SportsCenter update. Australian Open Finals for the women. Caroline Wozniacki defeated Simona Halep to win her first Grand Slam title. For the men, Roger Federer defeated Marin Cilic, winning his 20th Grand Slam championship. And finally, I bleep you not, CBS has ordered a pilot for a Magnum PI reboot.
You got to be. That can't be true.
That is
You're
true.
You're making that up.
I am not making it up. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Should CBS be ashamed of itself? I mean, you're just trafficking in old people.
Right. I can tell you yesterday they should have been ashamed of themselves because I had invested 4 hours in watching golf because Tiger Woods was back and Jason Day, and there was a playoff, and Jason Day was in the playoff, and I love Jason Day, and they cut me off after investing 4 hours. You know what CBS did? Cut me off and went to the red carpet at the Grammys. Not the Grammys, the pregame to the Grammys while a main event was going on. Ashamed of themselves. Seriously. That is a terrible job.
Okay, but now you've contaminated the poll because now the people voting on the poll will be wondering whether CBS should be ashamed of itself for yesterday or whether CBS should be ashamed of itself for not having an original idea since 1982.
Totally fair. My apologies. You want to? How do we undo what I just did?
It's done.
Oh,
it's over. It's too late. We got to keep it moving.
All right.
There's no fixing it. We just got to move on.
All right. I had to get that out there, man.
I understand.
It was
very important
yes.
to you. Yes, I know.
You know your network skews old when you're rebooting a show whose star stars on another show on your network.
Yeah,
right.
It's just
now put it back on the poll.
No, they should keep doing that. They should keep doing that with like Murphy Brown. Just do the Murphy Brown remake. Just take out all their old stars. They're the 7 of them.
Yeah, there'll be Quantum Leap while Scott Bakula stars in NCIS New Orleans.
That's a good show.
I want to ask you guys what the radio station in Boston should do now that Tom Brady is threatening a business relationship with them on air.
I don't know how valuable the host is to the station. That would be an important part of it.
Well, Tom Brady's show is going to be more valuable than whoever that host is. It's going to be more quantifiably valuable. Sponsors will pay for it than whatever it is whatever it is that host earns in money. If the way that we're doing this is based on money and not, you caving in the face of Tom Brady.
Well, here's what we know. He makes contributions to Kirk and Callahan, but his name is neither Kirk nor Callahan.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So,
but does he have his own show later in the day? I think he might or something like that.
It sounds like and I know nothing of this, but it sounds like he does other stuff for WEEI just based on how radio works.
You know what? I don't think he should be fired. I'm not even certain he should be suspended. But I guess having sat in that seat and I was the vice president and general manager of a station down here and made 100 bad decisions, wrong decisions.
More than that.
Thousands, millions that I regret. And I wish I could go back and undo them, including the firing of Allison Turner. Simply because someone sent me an email that I was not supposed to see with her true thoughts about me on that email. I think this guy, I would hope that WEEI learn from my mistakes, have some backbone. Your host said something, not saying it's great, and Tom Brady has every right to be upset, but it's not a fireable offense, not in my opinion.
Unless Tom Brady says it is.
Yeah.
I'm saying that's the problem.
We had the Dan Marino show once upon a time.
That's one of the things that's interesting about it. Tom Brady absolutely has the power to end him, and I wonder how much Giselle wishes to end him. Because it strikes me as something Giselle would be more likely to do and more comfortable doing than Tom was.
Right. But listen, Tom Brady, there's some stuff. I know Captain America, he appears to be perfect, and for the most part he is. But he's done some stuff along the way, which is questionable. Okay? Like, you're going to get a guy. You have everything, Tom.
Wait a minute.
And you're going to get a guy fired.
Quit fighting on behalf of the little guy in this circumstance. Like, the little guy was wrong and suspended and should have been suspended. Don't attack kids.
I know. Yes, I agree with that.
You do and you don't. You don't want any ramifications. No. You don't want any ramifications to anything you say.
That's true.
That's where we are with
your agenda here is pretty clear.
Well, but I also have kids. I understand why Tom would be upset and come out and say something. Well, stop that. But you said it, okay? And if you want to continue a relationship with the station, then do it. And if you don't, then don't. But don't get a guy fired over
it. And understood. The points you're making are valid ones. But this is, when this stuff hits close to home, any of it, it tends to alter your perspective. For example, Stugat says he was conflicted this weekend watching Tom Izzo get caught in some of these flames at Michigan State. And Tom Izzo is a friend of the show. We enjoy Tom Izzo's company. Tom Izzo plays the accordion. He comes on our show and he plays his Christmas carols. He's super gregarious. But we just swallowed the chancellor at the university because she doesn't have any emotional appeal to us. We don't know her. We don't know her in any meaningful way. The people there said she did good work. But the angry mob came a-calling, and on this particular crime, no one survives it. What happens at Penn State is that no one survives it. Everyone gets stained.
Yes.
Now, I don't think Michigan State is going to get the death penalty only because the NCAA realized it overstepped its bounds last time by getting involved in the Penn State stuff, giving all sorts of penalties that it then had to rescind because they were just following the angry mob down the street. The NCAA did the popular easy thing, which is you get the maximum penalties and then couldn't actually enforce any of it.
Sure.
And then just went back and changed it because the NCAA was outside of its jurisdiction on these particular crimes, child sex crimes.
Yes. And you're right. I was conflicted over the weekend because Lord knows I've gone after Art Briles for some of the same stuff. But Tom Izzo was a friend of the show, and he's been good to our show. And I've had private conversations, 1 or 2, with Tom Izzo, where he's been very nice to me. But, you know, if Tom Izzo was aware of some of this stuff and didn't do anything about it and now wants to be part of the solution, then sorry. You know, I happen to agree with everyone who says, yep, they should all be fired.
Well, I don't, but it's why I was having this conversation with you last week. When I was asking you about some of these things, understanding the heinous nature of these crimes, and I was asking you, are you okay with the absolute that everyone goes down when these crimes are near a university? Everyone. That they climb up and man, Stugotz, if Joe Paterno can't survive it, no one can.
Agreed.
Like, it can't be survived. And I'm talking about Joe Paterno couldn't survive it his career, and he couldn't survive it in actual life. I'm convinced it killed the man.
Right.
At the end. So Tom Izzo has a relationship with the show, and that relationship is an accordion that he plays, and he comes on every year. And this is the situation that Sarah Silverman finds herself in when she's on stage and she's being asked for comment on Louis C.K. And Louis C.K. is a friend, but Sarah Silverman believes in the idea very strongly that women are not to be victims, not even with her friends. And so where do you go? When you love Louis C.K., but you are an activist for women and should be a strong one. And so she was conflicted because she's got a relationship that sees many sides of this person. The only side of this Tom Izzo that this show really knows is this side, this fun, silly side.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Wait a second now. I got to start over. I'm in the wrong key.
Judgment free.
That's all right. Judgment free, Coach. Judgment free.
I ain't singing. You're the one singing.
You want us to sing? Horse open sleigh, over the fields we go, laughing all the way. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle We're a little off. We're a little off all the way.
Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
So you see where that doesn't really fit with this story.
No.
Like, this particular story makes it kind of hard when these human things arrive at your doorstep. And I just thought of something, Stugotz, and I hadn't thought of it in 12 or 13 years. When we started our radio station locally in Miami, there was a dude who worked on the staff who eventually got caught up in some child sex crimes, ended up getting caught by the police, ended up, I believe, committing suicide because he knew what he was headed for in jail. And now I ask you to think about all of the people involved in the hiring of that person and that person being able to do what he did, and to think about the idea of, and I'm good with it, if you decide every time child sex crimes near a university, everyone goes. If that's what you decide, that's how we're dealing with pedophilia. That's how we're dealing with it in the criminal system. We just throw it in jail, throw it in a corner. No, I don't want to deal with that. I don't know what to do with being attracted to kids. Go rot in jail. I don't care what happens after that. If that's going to be your standard over there with the penalty, then the standard has to be to hold people accountable to it, right? And the flames have to climb and grab everybody.
Yes.
And so we're going to go 2 for 2 on this one, right? Because Tom Izzo was off to the side. He wasn't quite as, he was off to the side. He's not where Paterno was, and he's not where Sandusky was. But There's some things there that, upon scrutiny, don't feel good.
No, he's kind of where Art Briles was, right? That's where Tom Izzo and D'Onofrio, for that matter, the football coach.
Well, but I mean,
Dan, what happened yesterday after is when someone from outside the lines, Tisha Thompson, did an amazing job, just thundered forward with questions about this investigation and all the stuff going on. The fact that Tom Izzo, in 2010, Travis Walton was charged, an assistant coach, with assault and battery for punching a female student in the face. There were witnesses. She was injured. I'm literally reading from Tisha Thompson's question here, and Tom Izzo kept him on the staff. That is a terrible job by him.
It's D'Antonio. You made him D'Onofrio.
Oh, that's a fine.
Say hello to my little friend.
$1.
That's not a fine for you. You only get fined when you have fines that aren't fines, so then that becomes a fine.
At least you know I have some money today.
Don't forget, you can hear more of my sons Dan and Stu weekdays starting at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
Dan Le Batard.
They're talking sports, going at it as hard as they can.
Stugats.
They're talking sandwiches, going at it as hard as they can.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
Before we get to the thing that Magic Johnson said, and I have been told by multiple sources that Magic Johnson is doing that job the way that I thought Magic Johnson was going to do that job. Sort of whisking in and out of the office. Yes, fire everyone, trade everyone. You're doing a bad job. I'm going to run my movie empire. Is he still doing that? But Magic Johnson, the details, the specifics of the doing of that job. Magic Johnson's been given all of the power and isn't doing the work that usually gets done. He's doing the job the way Phil Jackson did the job.
Right, which is infuriating if you're a Laker fan, I think. Because, I mean, maybe Rob Pelinka's doing a good job. I have no idea.
He's pretty mad at Pelinka from what I've heard. Like, he's already pretty mad at Pelinka.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't hire your friends, man.
Oh, man, Magic Johnson, Magic Johnson has been powerful for a really long time and has known it. And now they just gave him all the power in an organization. And Magic Johnson, I don't think is going to want to do, given his level of fame and where he's arrived, the 16 and 18-hour days that job required when Pat Riley was doing it. Pat Riley can now do that job that way. He's trained everyone in the organization. He can now leave during the season to go do other things. But when it comes time to scout these teams, he'll be in the high-profile places where it'll be seen on camera.
Sure.
But when it comes time to do some of the dirty parts of that job, I don't know why it is that Magic Johnson would want to do them.
Well, he cares about the organization that much. Well, first off, I don't think he ever wanted to do them. He imagined someone would do them for him. I'm surprised he doesn't have someone better in place to do those things for him.
Well, it's early, though, and everything gets solved if LeBron just picks L.A.
Yes.
Everything gets solved.
Yep.
It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter how he runs the organization if LeBron just picks L.A.
Yep. And if one of the reasons LeBron gives for L.A. is Magic Johnson.
That's right.
Worth it.
Then it's absolutely worth the hire, for sure. Mm-hmm. Why are you mad at Pat Shurmur?
I'm not mad.
You were mad at him. You were yelling at your computer screen during the break. What do you mean you're not mad? You were you were laughing in the face of Pat Shurmur, the computerized image of Pat Shurmur.
I guess I am mad and I'm laughing at the same time. I'm telling you, Gettleman and Shurmur, those are our guys for next football season. There is a headline here where Pat Shurmur plans to speak with Odell Beckham Jr. about what it means to be a Giant. Shurmur's been a Giant for 3 days.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Do you want to be lectured by Pat Shurmur about what it is to be a Giant? I'm going to go ahead and tell you. Really? Mike says yes.
Oh, yeah. I want to know what that's like.
Hey,
I'm
all right,
familiar with this guy's work.
Allison, call Pat Shurmur right now. I want him to explain to us before 1 o'clock Eastern today what it means to be a Giant. We'll have him on. He'll say it, and then we'll let him go.
That's it. That's all we want.
I want to know from Pat Shurmur. I don't think there's anyone who wants to hear it less in the world, though, than Odell Beckham. I'm talking about the entire globe. There's some indigenous tribe somewhere saying, yeah, I'm interested in that Pat Shurmur information on what it's like to be a Giant. But Odell Beckham is not interested in this.
Gettleman's our guy. As someone who's a Browns fan, let me assure you, Pat Shurmur's not where you go for a soundbite.
I just want to ask him what it's like to be a Giant. Just tell the Giants organization. Allison, tell Is it Pat Courtney? I know I got that name right.
It is not. It's Pat Hanlon. That's a fine.
Pat Hanlon. Yes. No, wait a minute. Is that a fine when I'm asking the question?
You can't give it now. You're just framing everything in the form of a question.
Wait a minute.
All you do is ask questions now.
Wait a minute. I can't be fined for getting a name wrong while asking the question of, is this the person's name?
All right. You're right. I mean,
the public relations director for the Giants, let's call him and see if he will get us Pat Shurmur to explain in 1 minute or less what it means to be a Giant.
I will tell you this, and Mike will attest to this. If you get Pat Hanlon on the phone, he'll tell you what it means to be a Giant.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to settle for Pat Hanlon.
You'll blow past the hard network out, too.
Yes, but Hanlon knows more than Shurmur about what it means to be a Giant.
I don't want to talk to Hanlon about it. Hanlon can tell Odell Beckham what it's like to be a Giant. He's been there for a long time. I don't want to hear the sermon from Pat Shurmur on it.
Pat Hanlon loves being Pat Hanlon.
He really does.
He's good at being Pat Hanlon.
He's the best.
So, Magic Johnson just wants everyone fired now, Stugat?
Yeah, he sent out some tweets. He sent out 4 of them. It's kind of interesting. If anyone was aware of the sexual assaults happening to women on the MSU campus from the Office of the President, Board of Trustees, Athletic Department, faculty, and campus police, and didn't say or do anything about it, they should be fired.
That means something coming from that guy at Michigan State. I remember how much trouble John Amici found himself in because he was at Penn State. He went to Penn State. He was a proud Penn State alum. And when these crimes came down, you know what? I think I'd like to talk to Meach about these crimes and some of the stuff we were talking about last week as a child psychologist. Because he wanted, as a proud alum of Penn State, he wanted everyone gone because he's now a leadership. He is now, John Amici is a leadership counselor. Like he goes in and conducts. It gets paid a lot of money to tell their corporations how to fix their leadership.
Yeah, he was. There was a video that went all over Twitter over the weekend. I know you've been offline for a while, where Meach is talking about this and how gymnastics in particular, where did it ever dawn on the parents? Do they really ask their kids at the age of 4 or 5, do you want to live this kind of life? This kind of isolated life, and also making the point that, hey, kids don't really know if they want that at that age. It's the parents who want it for them.
No, I'd like to talk to him at some point this week about all that stuff amid Patrick Peterson Super Bowl interviews and roller coaster rides in the Mall of the Americas. I'm going to continue to pull us back for some reason to serious sex crime topics because I refuse to leave them alone, and I need to.
Yes, you do.
I need it for the fun of the show.
Yes, I mean, I tried to take you to Shurmur.
So what else? What else did Magic Johnson say? What else did he say?
He said, "Cookie and I stand in support of the victims and their families as they embark on the road to recovery, and I support the movement to hold everyone involved accountable." Went on to say the roles of the new president, board of trustees, athletic department, faculty, campus police, and students will be to work together to create new policies and procedures to ensure this never happens again. As a Spartan, I love MSU and want to work with Coach Izzo, the administration, and the students to be a part of the solution in any way that I can.
There is nothing, I'm telling you. Magic Johnson and Tom Brady have gone their entire life without saying anything publicly, but you get the bleeped off dad in them?
Yeah.
Like that's Magic Johnson right there. That's not easy for Magic Johnson to do, as much as he loves that school and as much of Magic Johnson's career as he's spent not saying that kind of thing.
You just said anyone who knew, fired. Bye. Mm-hmm. And by the way, Magic, that might include Tom Izzo.
Right. Well, but the thing that becomes a qualifier, though, is anyone who knew, because I still don't know. This is the part that to me matters, that I feel like gets lost in this conversation. I still don't know what Joe Paterno knew. I've heard Joe Paterno's broken kids talk about what happened to their father with more facts on the case than I have, and I've read a lot of facts on the case. I still don't know exactly what Joe Paterno knew.
In totality, right. I mean, we do know that one of his assistant coaches, former quarterback, went to him after seeing Sandusky in the shower with a child.
Right.
And told him on a Friday, and Paterno did nothing with that news until Monday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, which is odd if you're Joe Paterno.
Yeah, well, yes. And also odd, though, is that arriving on Joe Paterno's desk, because I'm not real sure how any of us would handle that.
Right.
If we might not kick that down to Monday. Like, I mean,
it feels like something you shouldn't kick till Monday.
No, but how the hell does anyone know how to handle that particular? We all know how we think we'd handle it. Yes, I'd immediately do this, and I'd beat up this guy, and I'd tell the police, and I'd tell the authorities. I don't know how any of us would actually handle any of these situations. How immediately, if it arrives on your desk on a Friday, what the hell you do with that. Like, it's easy for us to say on the radio what we would do with it. Yes,
Right.
we would do all the right things.
I did say those things at the time, yes, but now that I'm thinking about it, you're right. I don't know what I would do.
I am certain that we would say that we would do all the right things, but if it actually arrived,
yes.
and you're like dealing with, okay, this guy has been a lifelong family friend. He's been accused of what? Wait a minute, you saw what in the shower? What?
Well, that's the problem. I don't want to revisit the whole thing, but people feel like Paterno knew way before that.
Okay,
Yes.
but okay, people feel. I don't know what's true though. I don't know. Should it matter? Should it matter? Because what I keep asking you about this question is, should it be absolute that the details don't matter? Because I believe the details ought to matter on what people know. But many people believe that it's an absolute. If these crimes are anywhere near your campus, everyone goes. Everyone.
I feel like it should be absolute. I really do. And it's impossible for me to fathom that Tom Izzo had no idea that this stuff was going on. I mean, Dan, Mark Emmert, who runs the NCAA, knew about this in 2010, did nothing, sat on it. Nothing. That's a disgrace, man.
Okay,
it really is.
Hold on a second, though. They're two different crimes. The 2010 thing is, yes, that's a disgrace, but this is a different thing than what is facing Izzo now.
No. Michigan, Mark Emmert knew about this. The stuff we're discussing right now with the basketball team and the football team, this was reported to Mark Emmert and the NCAA in 2010. He did nothing.
So no flames for him either?
Oh, no, he should be, but he should have been fired a long time.
No, but I'm saying so no consequences for him.
No, there should be consequences.
Or consequences for Izzo. No consequences for Izzo because we like him. Consequences for Emmert because he's a lousy leader of a lousy organization.
No, Emmert, consequences. Izzo, consequences.
Yeah,
consequences for everyone, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just consequences.
Yeah,
that's
consequences.
what Stugotz has always been wanting to do right there. Just dishing out consequences, blame, and judgment. Consequences for everybody.
Like a dealer.
That's
at
right.
A poker
You're a
table,
blackjack
yes.
dealer. Just
handing out consequence cards.
Just handing out everybody. You want them? Here's some in your face. Consequences for everybody.
I want parents to be able to send their children to a university and know that that the university and the NCAA is protecting their children because that's what they promise them on the front end. Mm-hmm. You know what? NCAA and Mark Emmert, start protecting the kids. Consequence card.
Awkward transition. Time for some
Wait a minute. What is that? How does that work? You flip over the card and it says start protecting the kids, and on the other side it says consequences.
Well, yeah, no, I think it should say you didn't protect the kids, and on the other side, here are your consequences.
Oh, and what are the
You're fired.
You're fired. Okay. It's always you're fired. All right, very good.
So they're your fired cards.
Yes, there's no in between. There probably
so that's
should
it.
be.
Okay, no in betweens. That's fine. I understand. That's
a great way to find out if you were fired or not.
Somebody flip a card at Izzo's office. You're fired. Here are your consequences.
Don Le Batard.
Bill Belichick has told his players that despite the blizzard that's expected in the New England area, the Patriots will hold its final practices during its playoff bye week. No excuses for being late. Moron.
Stugotz.
Don't do that.
Sorry.
Don't do that.
No excuses for being late. I'm sorry.
If he needs it, you got to give it to him. He's helping Bill.
He is displaying behavior, that of a moron. That's all I'm saying. Save it. We're good. You kick, save, and abuse.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
This music reminded me that Mike Ryan is a grown man. He is a grown man who still, I think, every year goes to WrestleMania with his friends. Mike Ryan, I have not seen him as excited in 2018 as he was sharing with everybody a video of Brock Lesnar. It might have just been a picture of Brock Lesnar legitimately punching an opponent because he got mad during a match and just punched him in the head.
Potatoed him.
Wrestling fans, man, they really care. They're really passionate about wrestling.
It's really unusual. The thing that made me think about it is Ronda Rousey is going into wrestling, and one of the questions today on Highly Questionable, she's going, is it sad for this to be the way Ronda Rousey ends her career? Because very few people have been dismantled publicly as quickly as Ronda Rousey was. She went from should she be fighting against Floyd Mayweather to just mentally short-circuiting with a loss in a way that did not speak well of her ability to handle adversity.
Mm-hmm.
She just crumbled.
Right. Was it Holly Holm?
Yes, Holly Holm, the boxer. It was the first time that Ronda Rousey had fought somebody who was just more technically skilled, and she could never get close to her because Holly Holm was just a boxer.
I could see where you would think that, but I saw an interview that she gave with Ramona, and I actually appreciated her perspective because she's right. She has other avenues where she can make more money. This isn't a cash grab at the WWE. She's going to be making a good salary. We can all assume that. But there are other things that she could be doing that would make her more money. And she knows that. She acknowledges that. She's doing something that's making her happy because she's been a lifelong fan. As someone that's never been motivated by money in any sort of decision you make.
Oh, I'm not going to make fun of Ronda Rousey for any of this. I just know that her end I found to be unfortunate because it looked from afar like that felt really bad to collapse that way. It's not just lose. It's that you lose and you're never the same again. And next thing you know, you're out of the sport and now you're going to go do fake fighting.
Right. Yeah. That feels, I mean, I understand still making money.
It happened very quickly.
It happened so quickly, man.
And so the question on Highly Questionable is it sad for Ronda Rousey's career? It seems like a natural evolution. She was a star across the sky. She wanted to be in the action movies. This seems like Dwayne Johnson's career path. This is what she will choose next, and it'll be a lot safer than the last one.
I think if you asked Ronda Rousey, I don't know, 2 years ago, hey, in 24 months, you're going to be wrestling. All the stuff you have now, gone. Wrestling. She'd tell you it's said.
No, but she's actually told you this is a dream of hers. Oh. So how can it be sad if she's doing something that she's always wanted to do?
I mean, when did she say it?
She said it last night.
Okay.
But she's
2 years ago. I'm sure it wasn't the dream.
Oh, but she was at WrestleMania 4 years ago. Yeah. You know, she's a noted lifelong fan.
Right. I'm just saying different dreams 2 years ago.
Billy and Mike just love wrestling. Like, they're never going to have this as a bad move for her.
Okay, and no, wait a minute. I don't think it's a bad move. I don't believe it to be a bad move.
It's her only move.
Look, I'm obviously a wrestling fan. I'm just providing another side, whereas you're always going to have people that meet this story with she's doing fake fighting, and I'll just say, no, she's performing. This is something that she's performing. It's theater.
I mean, I'm less of a fan than Mike, but she's been appearing like on programming and stuff with them for years and has said she wanted to be a wrestler growing up. So it's not like out of desperate. I mean, it is partially, but it was a dream of hers.
Hold on a second. Let's backtrack for a second. I don't believe that this is desperate. Ronda Rousey would have had a lot of money-making options. I'm more interested in the rise and fall of Ronda Rousey, where it wasn't that long ago. Was it even, how long ago was it that we were talking about the idea, people were entertaining the idea of her fighting Floyd Mayweather before the Conor McGregor thing? That was a thing that was being talked about. And then to go from that to all of a sudden exposed as a fighter in a very public way, and she took it really hard. And I admire her. I admire her strength. I admire her story. I admire everything about her. But she took it unusually hard, being stripped down to that kind of vulnerability. And so from there, lose, quit.
Yeah.
This can be the best option and can be a dream, but I understand why the question is this that?
And keep in mind, she flew in from Bogota where she's filming a movie with Mark Wahlberg. Things are working out for Ronda Rousey.
Right.
Who isn't filming a movie with Mark Wahlberg, though? That is Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Nationwide coverage on America.
It really is. Poppy's working on one right now. My father's working on a movie with Mark Wahlberg. Not a lot of people know that.
Dan Le Batard.
I don't know anything.
Stugotz.
I don't remember what I was going to talk about. So in those instances, what I have is a default that just makes fun of Stugotz.
You're welcome.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
His 1992 album, Breathless, sold more than 12 million copies in the United States alone. For tickets and upcoming tour dates, visit KennyG.com. Kenny G starts our Super Bowl coverage like he does every year and has for many years. Kenny G opens our Super Bowl coverage. I've got a lot of questions for Kenny G. Thank you. Oh, he's here. He's here. He's here.
I think this is just the second year now.
That is correct.
I always give a fanfare for myself wherever I go.
Yeah. That's good. That must be nice.
Mm-hmm. It is. You know, when you have a sax like this, you travel with it.
I want to talk to Kenny G about his life. It's a fascinating life. There are many things fascinating about it. Go ahead, Stugotz. Make the joke about 15 seconds too late. Go ahead.
That's a fight.
So Kenny G is with us on ESPN Radio. And what I wanted to ask you about is flying your own planes. How often do you do that?
I do it about once or twice a week.
And do you fly to your own venues, or you just fly for fun? You fly to perform, or?
Well, the answer is yes.
All right. Well, no, I want to know about Kenny G's gangster lifestyle, though. Like, sometimes you leave your home, go to the airport, just get a plane that has a G on the back, and a sax and just fly to and land wherever it is you're performing?
That happens at times, yes. And I don't know about the G on the back of the plane, but there's a G in the front of the plane flying it.
That's
that a boy.
That a boy.
Yes.
Do you have any good Miles Davis stories?
The Miles Davis story I have is that I was opening up for him in New York, and he came into my room, and the only time he ever talked to me, we played about 10 shows together, and he goes, "Hey, I like that song you play. The ladies like it."
What a great compliment.
Yes.
Where does that rank in the all-time compliments that Kenny G has ever gotten from anybody?
That's probably way at the top, because whenever the jazz traditional guys start giving me a bad time, I say, "Listen, were you in the room when Miles came up to you and told you how good you were?"
Well, but how does this work though? Are you judged by other saxophonists who are jealous of your horns and your success?
That's probably a true statement, Stugatz.
Whoa! No, but
that's probably one of the best things you said all day.
That's a fine, Kenny.
That is a fine,
yeah.
Kenny.
Yeah, because Dan said, so send us $5, please.
All right. So Kenny G is with us. His given name. Does anybody who refers to you by your given name? It's Gorelick, right? The last name.
It is Gorelick. Yeah. Yep. A lot of people do. It's funny. People will come up and go, "Hello, Mr. Gorelick," and I go, "Wow, how'd you know that? That's pretty cool."
Well, how often does this happen though, where people are like, they looking at your driver's license and they know it's Kenny Gorelick, and then they realize, oh, wait a minute, this is Kenny G.
It happens at the airport when I give them my passport, going through security. They'll kind of look at it, then they look up, then they look down, then they look up, and then they smile and they go, "Hey." That's it.
That's it. That's the end of the story. Didn't you play that? Did I read something the other day about like somebody was
played
flying
on an airplane,
flying somewhere, and you broke out playing you did a concert on the plane in commercial in coach?
It was coach. Yeah, I was flying coach. But bro, we all fly coach sometimes, and so the lady next to me was a flight attendant for Delta. She was on a leave, and she said, "Hey, let's raise some money for this charity, and come on, come down the aisle and play while I raise money." And we did it. It was really fun, actually.
All right. Yeah, his life. Yeah. You live a fun life. Like, you don't have any terrible burdens in your life, right? You jump from happiness to happiness, note to note.
I don't know. I don't think about life like with burdens. I just look at it like with challenges. I practice every day. I'm trying to become better. I fly all the time to become a better pilot. I don't really think about it in the way of burdens. So yeah. Sorry about that.
But you got a great life.
There's no downside here.
But Kenny, you got a great life. I mean, you're flying around. You got your own plane. I mean, there's a G flying that plane. You're playing golf with Phil Mickelson. You got a pretty good life there, Kenny.
Golf with Phil Mickelson.
Yeah.
You're a good golfer,
Golf with Phil Mickelson. He's fun to play golf with. He is a great golfer, obviously. But it's so much fun.
Yeah, lefty. How much money? The most amount of money you've lost to Phil Mickelson playing golf?
Kenny G, did you just tell us that Phil Mickelson's a great golfer? That was your analysis of the whole situation?
I want to know the betting, though.
All right, let's hear about the betting.
I know, right?
There's some betting going on with Phil, isn't there? There has to be
some betting with Phil.
Yeah.
I have to limit it because that's his thing, man. It's always about Benjamin Franklin. Anything you want, it's always Benjamin Franklin. He starts talking about Benjamin Franklin, and then you start losing him because, hey, I'll bet you Benjamin that I can X, Y, Z, and of course he can, and then you bet against him, and he always wins.
I'm telling you, Kenny has to be very careful here because there are people that are friends with Phil that have spoken too much, given too many details about what happens on the golf course, and they're no longer friends with Phil.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Oh, we didn't know that.
No, Kenny did fine right there.
We didn't know that. We didn't know that. Because, well, wait a minute. But you asked the question. You tried to get him in trouble. You're telling us now after he's given the answer.
Yeah, I didn't realize it till after.
No, it's great. I love playing with him. I don't mind losing a few $100s. It's nothing like life-changing. We never bet for that much. But honestly, he's a lot of fun on the golf course. He's a good talker, and he's also, he's just good. And when he calls his shots, which is really fun. He goes, "Watch this. I'm gonna hit this thing from this to this," and he just does it. And you go, "Wow, that was amazing."
That's lefty.
That is.
Yeah, I mean,
Kenny,
I'm gonna get out there and play with you a lefty one time. I'm a lefty. I'm a lefty as well, by the way. Kenny, can we make this happen? Me, you, and Lefty play 18 holes. Pebble Beach.
Enough. You just tried to get him in trouble with Lefty. Pebble Beach.
Kenny.
At Pebble Beach? I don't know. Maybe we might be able to do it on my home course, but I don't know about Pebble.
I'll be there tomorrow.
All right. So tell us about Jim Nantz's wedding.
Beautiful wedding on the 7th hole at Pebble Beach. What a setting! And then the funny thing was, Gary McCord, the sportscaster. Like I played a song for them when Courtney walked down the aisle. It was a beautiful song, and I come off and I finish, and Jim and Gary McCord goes, "Man, I thought you were going to choke."
Oh,
it was really funny. No, he's a funny sportscaster. So I said, "Hey, that was really funny." But no, this is a saxophone. I'm not going to choke. I mean, I choke with a 6-iron, but not with a sax.
Do you have the song that you played for them that Gary McCord came after you on? Like,
yeah, it went. I played it slower than that, but it was a beautiful melody.
Beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful.
You're the the Can you give us the celebrity who got drunkest at Nance's wedding?
I don't remember that. I do remember talking to Ken Venturi at his wedding, and that was fun. He was classy, but he wasn't drunk.
Kenny, that's not the story I was looking for. I was looking for a good celebrity story at Jim Nance's wedding, and you gave me that crappy story.
Hey, bro, I got to keep it clean. Jim's a friend of mine. He's a great guy. Right. Love him.
Who are your enemies? Who are Kenny G's?
He doesn't like Kenny G.
Who are Kenny G? Everyone's a great friend. Who's a Kenny G enemy? Like, who's your rival?
God, good question. If I have them, I don't know who they are.
All right.
They keep their secret. They're in the secret society. I don't know. You're funny.
All right. We got one more question for you.
What's the single most important thing the Eagles have to do to beat the Patriots?
Yes, there it is. Yes, of course. They got to get Kenny G to play the national anthem, of course. All right.
All they need is me to play the national anthem, and it's done.
All right. Talk to you tomorrow?
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right. We'll call you tomorrow. Good talking to you, Kenny G.
Here comes the money.
So strange.
I'll be on the golf course with Kenny G at his house,
You're the
so
worst,
I'll call him
dude.
with him. Yeah,
the
with Lefty.
worst. He's going to try and parlay this in the flying on G's plane with Phil Mickelson to the Masters.
Lefty.
Cash more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
Dan Le Batard.
I mean, Stugats is the physical manifestation of the comment section come to life. Do you agree with that assessment that you are a comment section come to life?
100%.
It's, I wouldn't take such pride in that.
I do.
Stugats.
But I want you to imagine Stugats rising up from the gutter. Like, what you're looking at right now is a gutter. Only a gutter. And now it starts as a face, and the mouth gets bigger, and it just keeps growing, and then just shouts, rings.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
Stugats' weekend observations are right here. They are highly anticipated every Monday. They are ready to go. Before we get to them, however, Stugats saw Desus and Mero last night on, was it Fallon? They were on Jimmy Fallon?
Yeah, it wasn't last night. It was, I think it was Friday night, maybe. Yeah, I saw Desus and Mero on Jimmy Fallon. Second time that they've been on the show. They were really, really good and funny. There was a funny moment where one of them called Jimmy Fallon Jimmy Kimmel. It was embarrassing, and so it was good, but I also found myself enjoying it and being enraged and, just a ton of jealousy just swelling up inside of me.
You want to make the late night circuit the way Mike and Mike did on David Letterman? That's something you want to do?
I would love to do that. First off, I think you and I, you've been asking us lately what we want to do, and let's enjoy some of this. I think you and I are certainly deserving to be on the late night circuit. I think if ESPN pushed for it, we'd be on the late night circuit. If you don't want to go, I'm happy to go and represent both of us, which is dangerous. But yes, it's something I like to do.
Let me know, because PR has been trying to get you guys to do stuff like that all the time. And if I say go ahead and make pitches for Dana Stugats to do the late night circuit,
oh God, no!
Yes,
that'd be great.
I'd like to be finding out who'd bite on that.
That's deeply uncomfortable. Deeply uncomfortable.
What do you mean? But I'm never uncomfortable. I'm always comfortable.
No, but to be funnier than the professional funny people, or to go on there and do all of that,
I can no doubt get you on Desus and Mero.
Thank you. Before we get to Stugats' weekend observations, hey, Mike, and I'm asking this question a little late in the proceedings, admittedly. Is pissant something that we can say on air?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I haven't seen an email saying don't say that.
Okay, well, but what is that exactly? I know what the word means to dismiss someone as a pissant, but what is that actually? Because when Stugotz is saying that's a benign thing to say about one of Tom Brady's kids, I'm not sure Tom Brady would think that anything benign publicly said by a journalist would be benign, anything. But pissant, is Stugotz right that it's a benign compliment or a benign insult?
Well, if you're using it as a noun, it's an insignificant or contemptible person or thing. If you're using it as an adjective, then you mean it's a worthless, contemptible thing.
Okay.
Off the top of the dome.
That's not really benign, calling Tom Brady's child worthless. But
and yeah, you can say that. The first syllable alone you can't say.
Listen,
but that's a different word.
I'm saying Tom Brady has every right to be upset and should be upset, and the guy should be suspended. I'm questioning whether or not he should be fired because I feel like he's about to get fired.
He might be. Because Tom Brady wants it to be so.
He's a young guy. This is a bad mistake to make, and you're going to learn a lot in the business in this. But
well, I think Lupica made the mistake one time on Letterman, made fun of kids, and the crowd turned on him. You can't be going after kids.
You absolutely can't. But if he made Letterman.
He did make. Lupica was on Letterman several times.
I had a point there, but wow, I can't get past that. Right. Lupica was on Letterman?
Time now for Stugotz's weekend observations.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game
Several
notes.
times, I think.
Get out of here.
No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Dan, last week, I told you LeBron was going to the Pelicans. This week, I'm telling you, he's not. 6 days away. 6 days away from the Super Bowl. Career playoff quarterback rating of 166.4. 6 days away from seeing if the greatest quarterback in postseason history can get it done one more time. Good luck, Nick Foles. Poor Pelicans. I'm tied for first in my fantasy basketball league. The guy I'm tied with has DeMarcus Cousins. When it was announced he was out for the year, I texted him saying, man, I'm so sorry about Boogie. Really sucks. I was being totally insincere. If I'm being totally honest about the Boogie text I sent to my friend, I was on speakerphone with my fantasy partner cackling over the fact that he lost Boogie for the remainder of the year.
That's right.
Tom Izzo said he wants the Michigan State basketball team to be part of the solution. Sorry, Tom. Too late. Tom Izzo said he wants the Michigan State basketball program to be part of the solution. Tom, here's when you become part of the solution. The second a sexual assault allegation comes across your desk. My first thought when I heard about the Tom Izzo news, poor Dickie V. Mark D'Antonio, stop demonstrating the behavior of someone who tells lies often. Wow. It must be difficult, Dickie V. It really must be to find out people you think so highly of are not exactly what you thought they were. Isaiah Thomas said it's not fair. He's taking so much blame for the Cavs' recent poor play. Isaiah, in 9 games with you in the lineup, your team is 4-5 and giving up 121 points per game. It's fair. Isaiah Thomas said, it's not fair. He's taking so much blame for the Cavs' recent poor play. But you are perfectly fine blaming Kevin Love. Last week, Isaiah Thomas said no one trusts each other. Now that everyone is blaming him, he says everybody in our circle believes in each other. Convenient. Bart Scott said they used to joke around and say things to Aaron Hernandez. Like, hey man, I heard they found the body. Did Bart Scott imply that within NFL circles, it was known what Aaron Hernandez was capable of? Josh McDaniels must think pretty highly of Jacoby Brissett. Oklahoma City Thunder, peaking at the right time. Oklahoma City Thunder, do it in the playoffs.
Yes, of course.
Well, of course. What do you mean?
No,
I haven't done anything. They're peaking right now, but you know what? Continue peaking in the playoffs.
That's right, but peaking right now was the right time, you just said.
It is. A better time would be the playoffs. But listen, if you want to peak right now because you have some, you have some ground to make up in the West.
This seems like the wrong time to peak.
No, it's the right time to peak for seeding purposes. But once you get to the playoffs, then I want you to peak again and get it done in the playoffs.
Very good.
And I think they will. If there's a better drink than a fountain Coca-Cola, I'd like to know about it. I love the sound of sending an email from my iPhone when the volume is on. For now, it looks like blaming everything on Kevin Love has worked. Kevin Durant, just so you know, if Russell Westbrook wins a championship this year and knocks off your team on the way to doing so, it will count as 2 rings.
What?
In my personal record book.
2 rings.
2 rings for Russ.
Wow.
If he wins the championship and gets through the Warriors while doing
2
so.
2 rings in the personal record book of Stu Gotts.
Now, stay tuned, Dan. If he just beats the Warriors and doesn't win the championship, it will count as 1. Regardless of what you do.
Okay.
KD.
Wow.
You'll still have none.
No rings.
Yes.
That's right. No rings for KD.
So all Russell has to do this year, just so we're clear on my record book.
He'll have more win. Wow.
If he beats the Warriors.
He's got more rings
but
than
doesn't
KD.
win the title.
He's got more rings than KD.
You got it,
That's
man.
amazing.
You're on to the book here, man.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I'm going to do this book. Headline, Broncos to reportedly shop Aqib Talib in trade talks. John Elway, some advice. Sleep with one eye open. Aqib Talib, back to the Patriots for a 4th-round pick who will be out of the NFL in 3 years. Collision course. Jay-Z said Kaepernick put his name next to Ali with protest. Jay-Z, more like Jay Crazy. James Harrison wants to play into his 40s. James Harrison, you can do whatever the hell you want.
That's right.
Made the cut. Shot under par. More importantly, looked and stayed healthy. Welcome back, Tiger Woods. Just giving you a heads up. If you actually start winning, I may have to start, kinda, sorta, asking questions that force Dan to make a bet on a little game show I like to call Gun to Your Head. With the exception of me, has there ever been anyone who is better at what they do than Roger Federer? If you had to make a bet, gun to your head. James Corden, the next time you make me laugh while not in a car singing with a celebrity will be the first time you make me laugh while not in a car singing with a celebrity. What happened there? The dude's not funny. Okay. And he keeps getting the Grammys gig. And I'm sorry, Grammys, do better. Give me something better than James Corden. Because if he's not in a car with Justin Bieber, dude's not funny. I don't know when. I don't know how. But what I do know is that one day, that dunk on Russell Westbrook will come back to haunt Joel Embiid.
Yeah, it will.
Kevin Durant apologized to a 75-year-old veteran who has won 3 Purple Hearts. KD, since heart is something you know very little about,
for the love of God.
That's an award given to brave people for not taking the easy path. What happened there?
That's not what a Medal of Honor is.
It's a Purple Heart. That's a fine.
It's not what.
It's a Purple Heart.
That's not what a Purple Heart is either.
It's for courageous acts.
Isn't the Purple Heart also a Medal of Honor?
I have no idea. But it's a Purple Heart. And when you get a Purple Heart, it means you have done something courageous and something that Kevin Durant would know nothing about. Those are the things he knows least about. Heart and doing courageous things. Anyway, where was I? Philadelphia 76ers. Not the guy you want to get angry. Pink. Some set of pipes. Saw a bunch of pictures over the weekend of Sean McVay and his beautiful girlfriend. Let me tell you, she's one lucky woman. Carolyn Wozniacki. Just so we're on the same page, any major one that Serena doesn't play in does not count as a major championship in my personal record book.
Mike, what happened?
You still have 0.
Hold on. Why is Roy laughing, and why are you mad at Stu Gotts?
There was something there. I know what happened. Yeah. Mike, go ahead. You can explain.
What happened?
You wrote such a funny on-brand joke where you said women instead of woman.
I know.
And it was women on your paper, and you still said woman. What's wrong with you when it comes to this?
She's one lucky woman. You're right. That's on me. Anyway, did you hear about Wozniacki?
No.
Personal record book?
No.
Any major she's won that Serena Williams was not participating in does not count as a major in my personal record book.
Fair enough.
She still has 0.
Okay.
Seems like Brady and Federer have found the fountain of youth, and no one seems to care or have any questions. Mark Emmert, you knew of the Michigan State allegations, 36 of them to be exact, all the way back in 2010. You did nothing. And then 1 year later, you led the protecting the integrity of intercollegiate athletics charge because Nevin Shapiro bought a few players, lap dances, and Benihana. You, sir, have some explaining to do.
Yes, you do.
Mark Emmert, you've been reassigned and are no longer the chairman of the NCAA.
Uh-oh.
Enjoy your new role as chairman of the HELL. And when you get there, make sure you say hello to Art Briles. Dan, those are the weekend observations.
Here comes the money.
HELL.
The HELL.
Dan Le Batard.
The bifocal eyeglasses.
Stugatz.
Marcus Mariota, growing up right in front of our eyes.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
We've got some interesting sound to play for you from a podcast, Off the Bench, from CBS involving Danny Kanell and Raja Bell. Raja Bell was an executive with the Cavs organization. Raja Bell is unusually honest. He's always a delight to talk to. So he's on this podcast, Off the Bench, CBS, with Danny Kanell. And here's what he says about the idea of how hard it was to get LeBron to play hard for David Blatt.
We were at Pauley Pavilion at UCLA, and I walked around Rodeo for a while that morning with David Griffin. And he's like, look, I think I might have to fire David Blatt. And I'm like, don't do it. Let's not do it. Give me a chance to go talk to LeBron. So I pull LeBron aside after shoot around that morning, and everybody goes to get on the bus, and we spend about 15 minutes talking. And I'm talking to LeBron about his legacy and, what ultimately that is. It's not about what he did in Miami, but it's going to be whether he can get this championship back to Cleveland. And, David Blatt is our guy right now. But in fairness to David Blatt, you as a team haven't played hard for David Blatt. And he had just come back from that little hiatus in Miami. And I said, we as a staff can't really judge David on his merits because we haven't seen you guys play hard for him. So if you could get everybody to play hard for him and give him the opportunity to show us what he can do, then we can make a judgment and help you get the guy if he's not the guy that you'll need to do that. Right? And so LeBron was like, he looked at me and he said, I can do that. And they came out and they did that. They rolled the Clippers that night and things took off a little bit. But so the question about whether Ty Lue is on the hot seat, the answer is yes, because these guys aren't playing for him right now. And so the conversation I had with LeBron, it was as simple as that. If you play hard for him, we can determine whether he's a good coach and then we'll make a move if it's warranted. That's a conversation that has to be had to some degree with those guys now. Play hard for the guy and let us see what we got. Then we can decide whether, A, he's the problem, the roster's the problem, or what have you. But if you're not playing hard for him, we can't make a determination.
Man, that's good. That's good insight there by Raja Bell.
It's an amazing thing to say about LeBron James that you can watch him play and not have a good idea, no matter what his stat line is he playing his hardest? Because he can put up a triple-double not trying his hardest. And here is Raja Bell on Off the Bench with Danny Kanell and CBS talking about how isolated Kevin Love is.
When I was in Cleveland, Kevin Love was as much of an outcast as you could be on a team. It's the dynamic of being in a locker room that's just culturally a lot different than you. Mm-hmm. And I say that, and I think everybody understands black and white kind of deal. I lived that. I was in a locker room with Matt Harpring in Philadelphia. Matt Harpring was miserable, and he just was culturally this was when AI was rocking big gold chains and super baggy Reebok, sweatsuits, and everybody had a do-rag on and Averex jackets, and we were a hip hop squad. And there sat Matt Harpring with his and Matt was my guy and still is to this day. Right. And I would feel awful. I would look across the locker room and be like, Jesus, he's just so out of place. He can't figure out, even if he wanted to be involved, which I'm sure he did, he couldn't figure out culturally what they had in common. Wow. And it just didn't work. And there was an element of that when I was in Cleveland. Now they figured it out. They put it to bed. LeBron went to LA, had these conversations with Kevin Love. But dude, it was so bad that first year that I was on a phone call with Dan Gilbert, and our whole brass, and we had a big deal on the table to move Kevin Love in the first year, and I was like, move him. Not because I didn't think he was a good player, but because I just couldn't see them figuring out how to work like as people together.
All right, everybody, just slow down for a second.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure Raja Bell just reported on the CBS Off the Bench podcast that Kevin Love is too white for the Cavaliers. That's something that just happened.
And that Matt Harpring was too white for the 76ers.
And also, as an added bonus, and this makes me want to play the game, who's the guy who has been the most of an outcast in any locker room if this is how we're doing the math? Because Iverson's, man, the NBA airbrushed his tattoos because they didn't like how Iverson was representing on the NBA-sponsored magazine.
I mean, 06 Miami Heat, you had Shaq, Gary Payton, Antoine Walker, and Michael Doliak.
That is a cultural thing that I had not considered. The idea that, Raja Bell just reported that the Cavs are too black for Kevin Love.
Don Le Batard.
What's the stat, by the way? It sounds like a dumb one.
Box plus minus.
Yeah. How about rings plus minus?
I mean, okay.
6 for MJ, 3 for LeBron.
Stugats.
Put LeBron's rings in a box and then put MJ's rings in a box and tell me who has more. How's that sound? It's plus 3, by the way.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
What are you smiling about, Mike?
Because someone tweeted at me, can you talk to Steve Kerr about what life was like when he was on the Jailblazers? But I'm looking at the roster right now. He had Chris Dudley.
Oh, nice.
I'm looking at that Matt Harpring roster, the Sixers, and he had Matt Geiger.
Oof. No, Matt Geiger's a lunatic. Matt Geiger was crazy. He doesn't classify race, gender, anything. He classifies crazy. Matt Harpring has less in common with Matt Geiger than he did with anyone else in that locker room.
Didn't Matt Geiger have this crazy pad?
Yes, he had like a 40-bedroom house. Go look it up. Google it.
You want to hear this? You want to hear this? I'd like to have Matt Harpring on to ask him about this. Do you want to hear this roster for the 2001-2002 Sixers?
Yes.
Okay. Besides Raja Bell, of course.
Well, hold on a second. It's Aaron McKee. It's Eric Snow, right?
Yeah, it's also Derek Coleman. It's also Corey Blunt. It's also Samuel Dellenbear. It's also Allen Iverson. It's also Tim James. It's also Dikembe Mutombo. It's also Jabari Smith. It goes on. And Matt Geiger.
Right, and Matt Geiger.
Montego Cummings.
I love the idea. Montego? They had a Montego?
A Montego.
Oh, a Montego. That totally changes it.
Yeah.
They had a Dikembe, a Montego, and what was and a Jabari?
They did, yes. And a Matt.
All right, and Matt Harpring.
Geiger.
Guys, look, the Cavs have been overcovered, okay? I have never considered the Kevin Love situation the way that Raja Bell just made me consider it.
Or the David Blatt one, for that matter.
Well, but yeah, I've seen LeBron not try some before. He doesn't have to maximum try all the time. Guillermo, put it on the poll. Did you learn something about the Cavs that you did not know from the Danny Kanell podcast? Because I did. Speaking of podcasts, Chris Sims has one on Bleacher Report. How was that storm for you in New York this weekend as the tabloids ran crazy with your pick of Eli Manning as the 38th best quarterback in the NFL?
You know, as usual, I just phased it out and kept trucking along with life. I just don't give a damn. I just, I don't know. I didn't realize, did it make news up there? I wasn't even really aware of it a whole lot.
It did. The thing you said that made more news than even that was that you ranked Eli Manning ahead of your dad in terms of all-time greatest Giant quarterbacks.
Really, every time you come on this show, you create a problem that rattles cages and creates more difficulty in your life.
It does. But, hey, it's
the
part
37th
of the job.
best quarterback, according to Chris Sims, is
Geno Smith, New York Giants.
Oh, my God.
Ahead of Eli.
Ahead of Eli.
You are a genius.
Shocking. Oh.
Just made news again, man.
I thought Geno wasn't going to be in the top 71.
No, Geno deserves to be in the top 71. Geno did a good job in his start this year when he played against the Oakland Raiders. I would say that was one of the better offensive performances by the team all year long for the New York Giants.
They scored 14 points in that game.
Yeah, they scored 17, but that was off of 2 weeks prior to that with Eli Manning as the starting quarterback, where they didn't score any touchdowns offensively at all.
And then I think Geno got hurt, didn't he, later in that game or something like that?
Well, yeah, the biggest play was he got sacked by Khalil Mack at the end of the first half and fumbled when they were going in to score, and really had a chance to kind of control the football game, if you remember correctly. But hey, Geno's one of those guys I look at. First of all, he's got more talent than people give him credit for. He got a bad rap with the New York Jets. I mean, he left the New York Jets, and all of a sudden they signed Brandon Marshall, and they signed Eric Decker. Or not when he left, but when he was the backup quarterback. He got to be the quarterback of the Jets with absolutely zero talent around him, the coaching disaster there, and he's got some ability there, and he showed it in the preseason. He showed it in his regular season start, and for whatever reason, people just want to bag on him all the time, and I don't really understand that. He made a mistake by confronting that linebacker in the locker room for $600. That was the dumbest thing he ever did.
But you're right. I've been saying this for years, and thank you for agreeing with me finally, because I can't find anyone. Geno Smith, he was supposed. People don't realize this. He was supposed to be the starting quarterback had he not made that mistake. Todd Bowles had selected him to be the starter had he not made that mistake in the locker room.
Yes, that's exactly right. It was an immature mistake, sure, certainly at that. But, again, I just think he gets a bad rap, and people talk about, when he was a starter, they weren't that good. Well, I don't care. You could have put most quarterbacks on the team with that New York Jets team back then. They wouldn't have been worth a damn then either. So, right now, in the year of 2017 season, I think Geno Smith is one notch better than Eli Manning. I'm sorry. It doesn't mean you can't win a Super Bowl with Eli Manning. But I do think just when you evaluate the play, the skill set, where they are in their career, I think he has a hair more to offer than an Eli Manning.
Forget about the tabloids. How'd your dad absorb that news about Eli Manning?
He's heard me say it. Again, Eli won 2 Super Bowls. My dad, won 2, but only played for 1. You said Jeff Hostetler was the greatest quarterback in Giants history.
Yeah.
But no, I recognize what Eli's done some great things. I do think my dad had more physical ability than Eli Manning. I do. I just think as far as accomplishments goes, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, Eli will always be recognized as the greatest quarterback in Giants history.
Chris, we will talk to you again tomorrow. Thank you. Real quick before we let you go, though, based on film study that you've done, and I don't know how closely you study individual defensive play, who was more dominant last year, Aaron Donald or Khalil Mack?
Oh, Aaron Donald last year. Yes, Aaron Donald was just absolutely through the roof. In fact, I would say, to me, it would be Aaron Donald or a Fletcher Cox would be in the conversation for the 2 best defensive players in the game this year, for my money.
Nice.
Thank you. We will talk to you tomorrow, Chris.
Be good, guys. Have a good one.
All right. List is getting juicy. It really is.
It is. So we've really taken a turn here. Geno Smith, I did not think he was going to be in the top 71.
You were right.
Everybody knows I'm an ad man.
This list is no longer about Blake Bortles. It is now. He has pivoted, and it's a genius move on his part. It's all about Eli now.
All the quarterbacks in the league.
You said that Friday.
And the bidding with Geno Smith.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPNU.